Hi, my name is Elise Choe, and today we'll be talking about how counseling psychology came to be. First, for those of you not familiar with the term, counseling psychology is a discipline of, you guessed it, psychology. It is, quote, a specialty within professional psychology that maintains a focus on facilitating personal and interpersonal functioning across the lifespan. The specialty pays particular attention to emotional, social, vocational, education, health-related, developmental, and organizational concerns. Counseling psychology focuses on a person and their entire life. The field has expanded in recent years and has placed special emphasis on multicultural competence, which is the ability to interact effectively with people of different cultures. Alongside this, culturally sensitive practice has been highlighted as a key importance of psychotherapeutic work. Counseling psychology has also stressed the need for social justice and advocacy, especially as experts in a vastly diversifying world. All of these values are practiced within a scientist-practitioner model, which is a training model that stresses both the clinical work of psychology and its influence on and by empirical research. And that is what and where counseling psychology is in our current day. But how did it start? How did counseling psychology come into the world? For that, we need to step back in history to the 1900s. The early 1900s was a time of change. It was a turn of the century, and the world was still reeling from the changes the Industrial Revolution had brought. The United States was especially adjusting to the economic and social changes brought by the American Civil War. Specifically, the U.S. was dealing with the aftermaths of the Gilded Age, a time of great expansion immediately following the Civil War. However, along with the social and economic evolution came the harsh realities of inhumane working conditions, child labor, no protection for the workers, and an exponential increase in crime and corruption. This climate gave rise to the Progressive Era. This was a time where the public rose up in reaction to the living conditions of the U.S. and demanded reform. It was in this time that the guidance movement also gained momentum. The guidance movement wanted to help prepare the young generation that were growing into a new world so they would not be victims of the system. They focused on reforming the educational system to provide mandatory education for all children and also to help prepare students to enter the workforce. This set the foundation for and gave rise to vocational guidance. Vocational guidance is an applied field that, at the time, focused on providing immediate, practical assistance to individuals entering unprepared for an ever-changing labor market, as well as being concerned with long-term social and educational reform. In particular, a man named Frank Parsons came into the field and provided structure and guidance for this new line of thinking. Parsons emphasized the importance of self-discovery and decisions in choosing careers. He created the Vocation Bureau in 1908, which helped provide vocational guidance to many. And it was with these social and educational foundations that counseling psychology got its start. This was the era in which one of the founding fathers of counseling psychology was born into. Francis P. Robinson was born on December 21, 1906, in Danville, Indiana. He came into a world of social change and reform. While little is known about his childhood, Robinson did attend college at the University of Oregon. He then attended the State University of Iowa and received his master's and PhD in experimental psychology, studying under Carl C. Shore. Robinson received his graduate training right before the onset of World War II. This was a time when counseling psychology, though not yet called that, was being applied in an educational vocational manner, similar to vocational guidance. Quote, helping students remove a variety of obstacles or problems, such as personality, educational, occupational, financial, and health, so that students can maximally benefit from course instruction, was the goal of college counseling in universities around the U.S. And this was how Robinson was trained. Specifically, he was in charge of counseling students in remedial courses to help them succeed academically. Now, this may be the point where you're asking, why Francis Robinson? If he's just one of the founding fathers, why focus on him? Well, that is because of where Robinson would go on to develop his lifelong career, Ohio State University. While counseling psychology developed in pieces all over the U.S., there were 3 universities that had the first counseling psychology graduate program to be accredited by the American Psychological Association in 1952. Of these, Ohio State stands out as a prominent leader of the field, having had 6 presidents of Division 17 and 6 editors of the leading journals in the field to be a faculty or graduate of the program. Ohio State has also helped create many of the initial training methods for counseling psychology, some of which are still used today. Robinson, along with his colleagues, helped develop counseling psychology at its earliest days. Now, let's see how that happened. Robinson's graduate training at Iowa led him to being hired by OSU in 1937, specifically to take over the How to Study program. The How to Study class was a course on college study skills, which was first created at Ohio State. However, Robinson took the class beyond its initial objectives and expanded the course. He offered a study skills course where senior students provided remedial counseling assistance to freshman students. This allowed for the development of counselors in training and also helping students improve academically, which was similar to his own training at Iowa. Robinson noted that it was not just a lack of study skills that could hold students back. He wanted his course to help in, quote, attacking other problems which may be distracting a student in his university work, namely vocational, planning, social or personal problems, health problems, or a lack of interest in schoolwork. This style of providing holistic counseling for remedial students was first implemented with undergraduates, before transitioning to a graduate-level training and becoming a formal practicum course titled The Psychology of Remedial Counseling in the early 1940s. The creation of this practicum course allowed for organized supervision of counselors in training. Robinson bolstered this training with the use of technology. Starting in 1938, Robinson installed audio and recording systems to help monitor interviews being conducted by the counselors in training. He continuously improved upon these methods with technological advances such as tape recorders. It was at this time that Robinson came to work closely with Carl Rogers. Carl Rogers is known as the father of the humanistic or Rogerian approach to psychotherapy, which still serves as a foundation for many counseling programs. Carl Rogers came to Ohio State as a clinical faculty member in 1939. Rogers' interest in psychotherapy, along with Robinson's work with remedial counseling, came together to help upgrade the recording systems and practicum facilities at Ohio State. These developments helped Robinson create a new graduate program called Student Personnel Work. Its initial focus was on the educational counseling of college students, which was different from other similar programs that only focused on vocational guidance. The program would later be renamed in 1951 to Counseling Psychology. And this was how Robinson and the still budding field of counseling psychology greeted the end of the World War II. World War II brought a great deal of change to the world. However, one of the greatest for psychology came with counseling psychology finding its niche. After the war, clinical psychology had found its place in using traditional psychological approaches to work with the deviant populations. This left a not yet clearly defined group of psychologists that had been working with educational vocational issues as well as utilizing psychometric testings to their own. It also left a clear position for those who worked with developmental concerns and everyday problems of living that were not covered by clinical psychologists. This was a niche that counseling psychology found itself occupying. This was the same for Robinson and OSU. Robinson's practicum courses and training of counselors, along with Ohio State University Counseling and Consultation Services, helped bolster Ohio State's place as a leader in developing counseling psychology as its own field. This timing coincided with changes on a national level that solidified counseling psychology's place. The first step came in 1946 with the reorganization of the American Psychological Association and the creation of Division 17, which was initially known as the Division of Counseling and Guidance Psychologists. Francis Robinson participated as a founding member in creating this new chartered division. Then in 1951, the big step of creating counseling psychology came. A meeting hosted by C. Gilbert Wren at Northwestern University included the leading experts, including Robinson. Here, Robinson helped coin the term counseling psychology, adapted and defined it, and helped create the standards of training. Just a year afterwards, in 1952, Division 17 was renamed to the Division of Counseling Psychology. And not long afterwards, in 1954, the flagship journal for this field, the Journal of Counseling Psychology, was established with Francis Robinson as one of its stockholders. That year, Robinson also served as Division 17's president. And so, counseling psychology was born. Born from the hopes for reform and wanting to help others in a time of change and upheaval, counseling psychology has become a respected field that helps numerous individuals all around the world. While counseling psychology continued to change and evolve from the 1950s until the present, its infancy was greatly influenced by pioneers like Francis P. Robinson. Robinson helped focus the world on looking at an individual in a holistic manner and taking into consideration how different things like health, personality, and vocational concerns could all affect a person's life. Without Robinson's contributions and Ohio State's dedication to helping out the individual students at their school, counseling psychology may look very different today.